You weren't born to stay hidden in the shadows of your own potential, and I promise you this. If you give me just a few minutes of your time, it won't be wasted, because what we're about to talk about could change the way you see everything, starting with yourself. Every single day, there's a silent battle happening. No, not with the people around you, not with your circumstances. The real battle, it's between you and you. One version of you says, "You're not ready. You're not good enough. You've failed too many times." But there's another voice inside you, the one that's whispering, "Keep going. You've come too far to stop now. You're capable of so much more." This speech isn't about motivation that fades in an hour. It's about awakening. It's about finally realizing that the only person standing in your way is the person in the mirror. You've blamed the world long enough, blamed time, blamed luck, blamed your past. But what if the door to everything you want has always been locked from the inside? It's not them, it's not that, it's not the timing, it's you vs you. And the most beautiful thing about that is this: you have the power to choose which version of you shows up. You are both the prisoner and the key holder. That's not just a clever phrase. It's the truth most people spend their entire lives running from. Because it's easier to point the finger at something external than to sit quietly with the fact that the greatest limitations we face are often the ones we've placed on ourselves. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself, "I can't," before you even tried? How many dreams have you buried under what-ifs and maybes, and not nows? Not because someone told you to stop, but because something inside you whispered, "You're not ready." We build invisible prisons with the bricks of our own doubt. Each fear, each hesitation, each moment of silence when we should have spoken up, it's another lock on the door. And then one day we look around and realize we're trapped in a room we built with our own hands. But here's where it gets real. If you built the prison, you can tear it down. Every wall, every bar, every excuse, it's yours to dismantle. You are the one holding the key, even if your hands are shaking. And that key isn't some magic moment or external breakthrough. The key is a decision, a choice, one that says, "I will no longer be the one who stops me." And I know it sounds simple, but it's not easy. Because the truth, facing yourself, requires a level of honesty that most people avoid. It means sitting in silence and listening to the voice that doesn't lie, the one that says, "You're capable of more, but you've been settling." And that hurts. That's heavy, but it's also liberating. Because once you own your part in holding yourself back, you also own the power to move forward. You've been taught to believe that freedom is something given to you by someone else. That success is something you find out there. That peace comes when the world finally calms down. But what if that's all backwards? What if real freedom is internal? What if success is when you finally stop needing validation from anyone else? What if peace comes not from the absence of chaos, but from the strength to stand still in the middle of it? There's something profoundly powerful about choosing yourself, about saying no more hiding, no more shrinking, no more apologizing for taking up space. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. That's what it means to finally step into your own life and stop watching it happen from the sidelines. People say things like, "I'm stuck," or "I don't know what to do." But most of the time you do know. Deep down you know what needs to change. You know who you've outgrown. You know what habits are destroying you. You know what dreams you've locked away because they scared you too much to chase. The question isn't whether you know. The question is whether you're willing to act. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Acting on what you know will cost you. It'll cost you comfort. It'll cost you routine. It'll cost you relationships that only survive as long as you stay small. It'll cost you the identity you built around playing it safe, but what you gain you, the real you, the one you were before the world told you who to be. The thing about growth is, it doesn't knock gently. It breaks in and rearranges everything, and sometimes you have to be the one who opens the door. You have to choose the hard conversations. You have to say no when everyone expects a yes. You have to walk away from the familiar, not because it's wrong, but because it's no longer right. You don't become free by waiting. You become free by waking up, by realizing that the bars you've been staring at aren't real. They're built on fears that no longer belong to you. They were inherited, learned, conditioned, and now it's your job to unlearn them, to challenge every belief that tells you you're not enough, or that your dreams are too big, or that someone like you doesn't get to live a life like that. Because listen, someone is going to break the pattern. Someone is going to step into the room and say, "This cycle ends with me." Someone is going to look at the past and say, "Thank you for getting me here, but you don't get to lead me anymore." That someone can be you. You don't need more time, you don't need more motivation, you don't need permission, you just need a moment of clarity, of courage, of complete self-honesty where you finally admit, "I'm the one who's been holding the key this whole time." You're not too late. You're not too broken. You're not too far behind. That's the lie. That's the illusion. That's the old voice trying to pull you back into your cage. But you've grown too big for that cage. You can feel it. You can sense it. That discomfort, that restlessness, that's your soul saying it's time to rise. And you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need the full roadmap. You just need one bold step, one shift, one internal decision that says, "From this moment forward, I will no longer be my own obstacle." Every story of transformation begins with a choice, not a miracle, not a lightning bolt from the sky. A choice to stop blaming, to stop waiting, to stop living like life is happening to you, and to start living like you have the pen in your hand, and the power to rewrite the next chapter, you vs you. That's the real fight, and when you start winning that one, the world has no choice but to follow. Self-doubt is a liar with a loud voice. It doesn't just whisper in the back of your mind, it echoes. It shouts, and sometimes it even convinces you that it's the voice of truth. You hear it when you wake up and hesitate to pursue that idea you dreamed about. You hear it when you're about to speak up in a meeting, or take a risk, or do something different. It creeps in and plants thoughts like, "What if I fail?" or "What if I'm not good enough?" And the problem isn't just that it's there. The problem is that we believe it. See, self-doubt doesn't show up wearing a villain's mask. It wears the voice of reason. It pretends to be practical. It tells you it's protecting you from embarrassment, from failure, from rejection. But what it's really doing is protecting your comfort zone. And if you listen to it long enough, you'll wake up one day living a life that's safe, small, and scripted by fear. The voice of self-doubt is not your intuition. It's not your wisdom. It's the leftover residue from years of criticism, rejection, conditioning, and comparison. And yet, we treat it like gospel. We let it override the part of us that knows, the part of us that's passionate, gifted, creative, wild, and brave. It's not that you don't have what it takes. It's that you've been listening to the wrong voice for too long. And the thing about loud voices, the more you feed them, the more power they gain. Every time you say no to something you want because you're scared, that voice gets stronger. Every time you shrink back instead of standing tall, that voice gets louder. But you have to realize, just because it's loud doesn't mean it's true. That voice that says you're not ready, it doesn't know the strength you've built quietly behind closed doors. It doesn't see the battles you've fought in silence. It doesn't understand how many times you've risen after falling, And still, it has the audacity to question your worth, to tell you you're not enough. That voice doesn't get the final say. You do. But here's the hard truth. Silencing self-doubt isn't about pretending it doesn't exist. It's about recognizing it, calling it out, and choosing to move anyway. Because courage isn't the absence of doubt. It's the decision to act in spite of it. There will always be reasons not to, reasons to wait, reasons to postpone. But if you keep waiting for the fear to go away, you'll be waiting forever. Self-doubt doesn't vanish when you sit still. It fades when you move forward. Every step you take in the direction of your purpose quiets that voice just a little more. And sometimes the voice of self-doubt isn't even yours. It's someone else's voice that you internalized a long time ago. A teacher who told you to be more realistic. A parent who made you feel like your dreams were too big. A friend who laughed at your goals, and without even realizing it, you started carrying those voices like they were your own. But they're not. They never were, and you don't have to carry them anymore. You get to rewrite the script. You get to retrain your mind to recognize the difference between fear and fact, between discomfort and danger, between growth and failure, because just feeling uncertain doesn't mean you're unqualified. It means you're human. It means you're evolving. Every person you admire, the ones doing incredible things, they have self-doubt too, but they learn to keep going anyway. They learned that doubt is just part of the process. Not a sign to stop, but a sign that they're stretching, that they're moving into unfamiliar territory, and that's where the magic happens. It's not that they're fearless, it's that they decided to trust something deeper than fear. They decided to bet on themselves, to believe that they could figure it out, to believe that even if they stumbled, it wouldn't define them, it would teach them. What if you did the same? What if you stopped waiting to feel ready and started acting as if you already were? What if you gave yourself permission to be a beginner, to make mistakes, to grow out loud? The moment you do that, you take your power back. You start rewriting the narrative. You start showing yourself that the voice of doubt doesn't have to run the show. And yes, it will try, it will come back. Every time you level up, every time you try something new, it'll be there. But this time you'll recognize it. This time you'll know it's just noise, and this time you'll keep going anyway. You'll realize that self-doubt is not a wall. It's a test of how much you're willing to believe in your own potential, a test of whether you'll let fear drive or finally take the wheel yourself. You were not born to be quieted by your own mind. You were not created to live a life limited by what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. That fire in your chest, that dream that keeps tugging at you, it's not random. It's not wishful thinking, it's yours and it's real. The voice of doubt may always whisper, but now you know the truth. You don't have to listen. You get to rise anyway. You get to walk anyway. You get to create, speak, lead, build, and love anyway. And in doing so, you don't just prove the voice wrong, you make it irrelevant. You don't need permission to be great. Let that settle for a moment. You don't need anyone to clap for you before you take the stage. You don't need a stamp of approval to chase the life that's been burning in your chest. And you sure as hell don't need to wait until you're validated, celebrated, or discovered before you move. Because greatness doesn't begin with applause. It begins with a quiet decision to show up fully even when no one is watching. But the truth is, most people spend years waiting for the right moment, waiting for someone to tell them, now you're ready, waiting for a sign. And while they wait, life passes. Opportunities drift by like clouds, and they convince themselves they'll catch the next one. But the next one never feels like the right one either. Why? Because deep down, they're still waiting for permission. Permission to take up space, to be seen, to shine, to say, I'm here and I matter. You've been taught to be humble, to stay modest, to not want too much. But there's a difference between humility and hiding. Humility is knowing you're always learning. Hiding is pretending you have nothing to offer, and you weren't made to hide. You weren't made to shrink yourself into someone else's comfort zone. You weren't made to spend your one life living by someone else's playbook. Greatness looks different for everyone. For some, it's building an empire. For others, it's breaking a generational cycle. For some, it's standing in front of thousands. For others, it's raising a child in love or creating something the world has never seen. But whatever your version looks like, understand this. It starts with claiming it. It starts with choosing it before anyone else sees it. There will be people who don't understand, people who say you're too much, people who tell you to slow down, be realistic, be careful. That's fine. That's their fear talking. But their fear doesn't get to write your future. You can love people and still not follow their map. You can respect their opinions and still listen to your own voice more. Too many people are waiting for credentials they don't need. They think they have to be picked, selected, knighted by someone above them. But no one is coming to hand you your crown. You have to decide that you're already wearing it. You have to walk like you've already been chosen. Because in reality, you've been chosen by the vision planted inside you. And that's enough. The people who change things, who move the needle, who leave impact. They're not the ones who waited for permission. They're the ones who gave themselves the green light. They're the ones who looked around, saw nothing that matched what they felt inside, and said, "Then I'll build it myself." That's power. That's what makes someone unstoppable. You may not have a title yet. You may not have recognition. You may not have support. But you have something more important than all of that, a knowing, a deep sense that you were made for something more, and that knowing, that's your permission slip. That's your proof. That's your reason to stop waiting. And listen, it's not about arrogance. It's about alignment. There's a difference between walking in confidence and walking in ego. Ego says, "I'm better than you." Confidence says, "I'm not better, but I'm ready. Ready to step into who I was meant to be. Ready to stop downplaying my potential. Ready to own my story, my gifts, my voice. The world doesn't need more people who ask for permission to shine. The world needs more people who show others it's okay to shine without it. Your courage to walk forward becomes someone else's roadmap. Your bravery creates space for others to be brave too. And maybe no one ever told you this before, so let me be the one to say it now. You're allowed to want more. You're allowed to believe in yourself. You're allowed to dream big. You're allowed to stand tall. You're allowed to step out of line and take the road that hasn't been paved yet. You're allowed to be great. It's not about being the best in the room. It's about being the most you in the room, showing up without shrinking, speaking without apology, living without waiting for someone to give you the okay. Because when you own who you are fully, completely, you give the world something it's never had before, your authenticity. And that's what greatness really is. Not perfection, not performance, not the number of followers or dollars or accolades. It's truth, it's integrity. It's doing the thing you were born to do, even if your voice shakes, even if your hands tremble, even if no one claps at first. Because the claps will come, the recognition will come. But even if they don't, you will have come alive. You will have stepped into the kind of life that's built from purpose, not permission, and that is where greatness begins. You can't evolve while clinging to the version of yourself that was built for survival. Growth demands that you shed, that you release, that you stop trying to be who you were just to make other people comfortable. The truth is, your next level of life will require a next level of you, and the version of you that got you here. They won't be the one who takes you there. See, most people don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because they refuse to change. They hold on to outdated beliefs, habits, relationships, and fears like souvenirs from a past that no longer fits. They stay loyal to limitations. They protect their identity even when it's built on pain, insecurity, or a false sense of safety. Because change is scary. It threatens the familiar. It calls you into the unknown. And the unknown, as wild and beautiful as it is, always asks one thing of you. Are you willing to let go? Let go of the need to be liked by everyone. Let go of the lie that you have to have it all figured out. Let go of the fear of being misunderstood. Let go of the script that says you must play small to survive. You were not meant to be frozen in time. You are a living, breathing evolution. But the question is, will you allow yourself to become what you're meant to be? Or will you stay loyal to who you used to be just because it's familiar? Every time you try to grow, the old version of you will rise up and try to keep you in check. That version knows how to survive. It knows how to play it safe. It knows how to keep you in rooms where you never make waves. It's built to protect you, but not to expand you. And if you want to grow, you have to be willing to disappoint that old version of yourself. You don't owe your past a permanent seat at the table. You don't have to keep carrying the weight of who you were just because it helped you once. There comes a point where your growth becomes non-negotiable. A point where staying the same feels heavier than the risk of changing. A point where your soul starts to scream louder than your fear. And in that moment, you get to choose to trust the discomfort. Choose to believe that you are capable of more. Choose to walk away from anything, anyone, that demands you stay small in order to be accepted. Because anyone who truly loves you, anyone who truly sees you, will celebrate your growth, not fear it. Let go of the stories that say you're not ready. That's not your voice, that's fear talking. Let go of the labels you've outgrown. You don't have to keep proving that you're worthy of love, success, joy, peace. You were born worthy. You don't earn that, it's yours. But to live it out loud, you have to release the shame, the guilt, the expectations that were never yours to carry. And maybe the hardest part of letting go is this. It means grieving. Grieving the parts of yourself that felt like home for so long. Grieving the roles you played to survive. Grieving the life that once made sense, even if it was small, even if it was suffocating. But hear this, grief is not a sign that you're broken. It's a sign that you're healing. It means you're clearing space for the new. And the new, that's where freedom lives. You can't receive what's meant for you if your hands are full of what's not. You can't step into your future while your feet are still chained to your past. And you can't become who you're meant to be if you're constantly shrinking yourself to fit back into an old version that no longer honors you. Sometimes letting go is quiet. It's not always dramatic. It's the silent choice to stop arguing for your limitations. It's the moment you choose not to respond to chaos. It's the day you decide to speak up when you used to stay silent. It's the first time you say no without apology. It's the quiet courage to rewrite your identity, not for anyone else, but for yourself. There is no growth without release, no elevation without separation, and no transformation without truth. The truth about who you are. The truth about what you want, the truth about what you're capable of becoming, but truth will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you approval. It might even cost you some relationships. But what you gain in return, peace, alignment, power, purpose, letting go isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's saying, I honor who I was, but I'm choosing who I will become. And that choice, it changes everything. It changes how you walk into a room. It changes how you speak to yourself. It changes what you tolerate. It changes what you attract. Because when you let go of the weight that's been holding you back, you make room for the life you've been dreaming about. You're not meant to stay in the same chapter forever. Some things are meant to be outgrown. Some seasons are meant to end. Some identities are meant to dissolve, and it's okay. It's more than okay. It's necessary. Because the version of you that's waiting on the other side of letting go, that version is free. Discipline is the bridge between your potential and your reality. It's not the loudest voice in the room, but it's the one that always shows up, even when motivation doesn't. Because motivation will lie to you. It'll hype you up today and abandon you tomorrow. It'll come when you're excited and disappear when you're tired. But discipline stays. Discipline doesn't care about your mood. Discipline doesn't need perfect conditions. Discipline isn't emotional, it's committed, and commitment changes the game. You see, everybody wants the result. Everybody wants the dream, the body, the business, the peace, the breakthrough, but not everybody wants the process. Not everybody is willing to do the boring stuff, the hard stuff, the inconvenient stuff over and over again without applause. Not everybody is willing to delay gratification, resist distractions, and keep showing up when nobody's watching. But that's where the real shift happens, not in the moments of glory, but in the moments when no one is clapping and you still keep going. That's when you become dangerous. That's when you stop needing external motivation and start becoming internally driven. Discipline is what makes the difference between a wish and a decision. A wish says, I hope I get there. A decision says, I'll show up until I do. A wish waits for a sign. A decision becomes the sign. And if you really want to break out of the cycles that have kept you stuck, if you're really ready to shift from surviving to thriving, then you've got to learn to respect the process even when it's hard, even when it's slow, even when you don't feel like it. The most powerful version of you is not the one who works hard when it's easy. It's the one who works smart when it's hard. The one who understands that growth isn't always exciting. Sometimes it's exhausting. Sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. But discipline keeps showing up through all of it because discipline isn't built on emotion. It's built on intention. You have to become the kind of person who keeps promises to yourself. That's where real confidence comes from. Not from how you look or what people say about you, but from the quiet knowledge that you can trust yourself. That when you say, I'll do it, you do it, even if it's not perfect. Even if no one sees it, even if it takes longer than you thought, and yes, it will be tempting to quit, to take shortcuts, to choose comfort over commitment, but shortcuts never lead to long-term success. They lead to quick highs and long-term regrets. Discipline is about playing the long game. It's about building something that lasts, something that can't be taken from you, something that's not dependent on mood, hype, or praise. You don't rise by luck. You rise by habits. You rise by what you consistently choose, not occasionally do. You rise by being relentless about your vision and ruthless about your boundaries. You rise by choosing what you want most over what you want now. And let's be real, it's not supposed to feel easy all the time. If it did, everyone would be doing it. But you're not everyone. You've already proven that just by choosing to listen to this message, just by staying in the room when the rest of the world is scrolling past, that's not random, that's a seed, and discipline is what waters it. So yes, wake up early if that's what your dream requires. Turn off your phone if that's what your peace demands. Say no to things that feel good now but steal from your future. Learn how to sit in the silence, how to get back up after failure, how to keep your word when the excitement wears off. That's how you build the kind of life you won't need to escape from. People will call it obsession. They'll say you're doing too much, but they won't say that when the results show up. They won't say that when your reality starts to look like something they only dreamed of. They won't say that when your discipline becomes the reason you're walking in rooms they can't get into. Don't let temporary discomfort keep you from permanent transformation. Don't let short-term emotions make long-term decisions for you. Don't let one hard day trick you into thinking the process isn't working. Because sometimes the hardest days are the ones building the strongest version of you. You want a life that's different. Then your habits have to be different. Your focus has to be sharper. Your choices have to be more intentional. You have to move like you've already decided that your dream is non-negotiable, because once you do that, something shifts. You stop making excuses. You stop waiting for perfect timing. You stop depending on hype and start depending on habits. And slowly, brick by brick, you start building something no one can take away from you, not the market, not the algorithm, not people's opinions, because discipline builds something deeper than outcomes. It builds character. It builds trust in yourself. And that's the foundation of everything. There's a voice in your head that's not always kind. It doubts you, questions you, reminds you of every failure, every mistake, every insecurity. It's the voice that says you're not good enough. Even when you're trying your hardest, you're not ready. Even when you've prepared, you don't belong. Even when you've earned your place. And here's the thing, that voice isn't the truth. It's just familiar. It's the echo of a past you've outgrown, the residue of fear dressed up as caution. But if you keep listening to it, if you keep letting it run the show, you'll talk yourself out of the life you're meant to live. You see, the loudest war isn't outside, it's inside. It's between who you've been and who you're becoming, and that inner conflict. It's not a sign that you're weak. It's a sign that you're waking up. That you're starting to notice the difference between your conditioned self and your conscious self. That you're beginning to recognize that just because a thought shows up doesn't mean it belongs. The mind can be a beautiful servant or a terrible master. And if you don't train it, it'll train you. It'll train you to settle, to shrink, to hide, to overthink, to sabotage. But when you start taking your power back, when you start questioning those voices instead of blindly believing them, everything begins to shift. Because you realize something profound. Just because it feels real doesn't mean it's true. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of them. And once you realize that, you start creating distance. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop spiraling and start choosing. That's where power lies. In your ability to pause, breathe, and decide who you're going to be, regardless of what that voice is screaming in your head. And let's be honest, sometimes that voice doesn't scream. Sometimes it whispers, it says, take a break, you've done enough. But you know you haven't, it says, maybe this isn't for you. When deep down you know it is. It tells you to give up right before your breakthrough. And the only way to win that battle is to become louder than the doubt inside you. Not with noise, but with truth, with clarity, with repetition. You've got to affirm yourself so consistently that your inner critic gets drowned out by your inner champion. Talk to yourself like someone you're responsible for taking care of, someone you love, someone you believe in. Because whether you realize it or not, every word you say to yourself becomes the script you live by. So rewrite the story, catch the thought, question it, replace it. Train your mind like it's the most important asset you've got, because it is. Start feeding it with what builds you, not what breaks you, with what lifts you, not what limits you. Listen to things that expand you, read things that challenge you. Surround yourself with people who reflect the greatness in you, not just the comfort in your excuses. Your environment is speaking to your subconscious every single day. Make sure it's aligned with your vision, not your fears, and when the doubt shows up, and it will, don't run from it. Don't pretend it's not there. Face it, ask it, where did you come from? Because most of the time, it's not even your voice. It's your third grade teacher who said you weren't smart. It's that one person who left, that one failure you haven't forgiven. That moment you decided to play small because big felt too risky. But you're not there anymore. You're here, and here you get to choose. You get to decide which thoughts get to stay and which ones get evicted. You have to start believing in your ability to rewire your mind, because belief isn't just a feeling, it's a skill, and like any skill, it gets stronger with practice. The more you show up for yourself, the more evidence you build that you can trust yourself. That you're not a prisoner to your past. That you're not defined by your lowest moments. That you're not stuck unless you choose to be. Every time you catch yourself thinking small, correct it. Every time you hear that voice say, "You can't," respond with, "Watch me." Every time fear says, "What if you fail?" reply with, "What if I fly?" Because that's the level of inner dialogue it takes to win this battle. Not once, not sometimes, every single day. Build rituals that reprogram your mind for greatness. Not just when it's convenient, but especially when it's hard. Meditation, affirmation, visualization. These aren't luxuries. They're necessities. Tools to anchor you when the storm comes. Because storms will come. Fear will come. Setbacks will come. But if you've built a fortress within, if your mind is grounded, no wave can shake you. And don't expect perfection. You're going to slip. You're going to have days when the doubt feels louder than your determination. That's okay. What matters is what you do next. Get up, start again, say something kind to yourself, take one step, because this isn't about avoiding the war, it's about learning how to win it. There is a version of you that's already living the life you want. Not because they got lucky, but because they learned how to silence the lies and speak truth to their own potential. They chose courage over comfort. They chose discipline over distraction. They chose to train their mind like their life depended on it, because it does. When it's you vs you, remember this. You've already survived every day you thought you couldn't. Now imagine what happens when you stop fighting yourself and start fighting for yourself.